Hello, I'm Michael Olen. I work for the City of Milwaukee. I'm a building inspector with the Condemnation Department. And because of the recent flooding within the city and the county in general, we're going to walk through a couple steps of the foundation, what it means, and obviously the damage that can occur during the heavy flooding. All right, so this is just a typical rough outline of a house. In the basement, in a typical City of Milwaukee home, we have a foundation that's roughly 7 feet to 8 feet tall. Rests on footings underneath the foundation. We got a drain going down from the center of the basement. And most of our mechanicals are down here, our HVAC, our laundry, the washer, dryer, electrical will be down here. So all of these things, once that basement gets full of water, we start adding water, those utilities become important. If they get wet, they get damaged, they're not usable anymore. So a lot of our houses this week, I would guess 4 feet of water. But it covers all of that washer, the dryer, the appliances, the furnace, the water heater. All of that stuff is gone and is going to need to be replaced. Now, the water's in there, but where did it come from? Next step here is the hydrostatic pressure. Where did the water come from? And we'll walk through that in just a second and explain kind of the idiosyncrasies of the typical Milwaukee house. Well, first let's go off to the foundation. What does the foundation do? My foundation here is designed to take the load of the building, the weight, the entire 100 tons roughly of a building, of the weight of all the materials, the roof, the walls, the windows, the floor, all of that is supported by the foundation. So this is what we call a load path. The load path happens from the roof all the way on down. I should be able to trace it inside as a building inspector where everything is going and make sure everything can be held up nice and tight. The issue with the flooding is what we call hydrostatic pressure. So even though it stopped raining, give or take a couple days ago it stopped raining, we're still going to have a lot of this surface area around your building is going to be full of water. The water might be down below the grass height, but it's still there. And hydrostatic pressure is all of this forces from the water are pushing in against the building, the foundation. They're going this way. So the water's coming from both sides into this foundation where these blocks weren't meant to hold all of that pressure. And in areas where there's a lot of flooding or hurricanes and we get storm surges like that in Florida and whatnot, they'll design the building to be above that grade and they'll put vents in here, flood vents in the foundation to ease the pressure. Because right now, if your basement is dry and this outside area is still wet, I'm still putting a lot of pressure on those blocks. So if you go down in your basement and you see a crack roughly at the driveway height, that's where that water is pushing the most pressure in. And you'll see a nice little 1/4 inch or sometimes even a 1/2 inch crack in there. And on the older buildings, your basement wall will look something like this, where it is going to be bowed out that much. And we had a few of our buildings in the city of Milwaukee go past this, and it just blows out this wall, or this wall. Sometimes the front, doesn't matter which direction the wall is, all that pressure is going to be blowing on it, and it washes out that basement wall, and the dirt and the concrete will all cave into the basement. And sometimes, obviously, if your concrete driveway, you might lose part of this as it washes out, just like a sinkhole you would see on TV. And all of that debris goes into your basement. All right, so that hydrostatic pressure is something we want to avoid. But we can't. Because it's nature and the flooding is going to happen. So let's take it, now we're there, how did it happen? Obviously, we all have a certain level of damage, whether it's the walls blowing out, whether it's a sinkhole in the driveway, whether it's even just 5 to 6 to 18 inches of water in the basement that's covering your basement. What do we do now? assuming that all of our, we haven't rained in a while, we don't necessarily want to release all the water out of the building, but we want to get rid of the water out of the building. It's kind of a catch-22 because if we take the water out, there's nothing supporting the walls. Well, in most of our houses, that water is already either drained out or been pumped out. So right now, we do have still a little bit of pressure on the walls, but we want to move to kind of step 3 of where we're at with the city, which would be our cleanup. The object is we want to get rid of all of that breathing in, all that nasty stuff from the foundation, whether it's sewage that came up through the basement that's still in there that we want to bleach and get rid of, or even just the dampness that's been sitting on that 25-year-old carpet and all of a sudden everything just comes up. Imagine that same smell after you clean your carpeting. That's what you're going to be breathing in, that nastiness. So one big thing we got to do is make sure you get rid of the humidity. So a dehumidifier, if you have one, if your neighbors have one, is critical. Fans open up these basement windows if you can, get some air flowing through, get a fan down there. Second issue, it's still wet down there. And if you haven't had your electrician go in, that's going to be a concern. So you don't want to necessarily go plugging things into your basement if it's not ready for it. You don't want to run that risk. So we got to bring an electrician in. One of our most important things to make sure our electricity in the basement is ready to handle us moving forward. We want to start the cleanup process, air out your house, and then start working with the insurance company, working with the city to get permits to start the process of finding a contractor and moving forward. What you can do as a homeowner, first important, call us, call DNS. Call DNS and ask questions because we're more than willing to answer questions, whether it's what you need to do, how you need to work with us, how you need to work with the insurance company. All right, so to wrap it up, my name is Michael Olen. And again, I work with DNS, Department of Neighborhood Services. Email, MOLEN @milwaukee.gov. .gov. Contact us, contact anyone you know within the city, and we can surely help you out with any questions you might have. As we're all working through this in the next couple months, it's going to be different, but we can get through it. Again, Michael Olen with the City of Milwaukee. Thank you.